Welcome back, viewers. You're watching Beyond World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan Charna.
And I'm Diksha Bisla, and on the show today, second anniversary of October 7 attack. Israel marked the second anniversary of the deadly October 7 massacre, which reportedly claimed the lives of 1,200 people and 251 others taken hostage. Now, as Trump voices optimism of a real chance to end the war 2 years on, indirect negotiations are being held between Israel and Hamas. And this is happening in Egypt. We're going to get you all the details on that front. Stay tuned.
Also on a World DNA, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, he has arrived in India with a strong delegation of 125 people. We'll bring you all the details of what to expect in these next 2 days in this 2-day visit. This and a lot more lined up for you. Let's start with the headlines. This is World DNA.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer arrives in Mumbai for a 2-day visit with a delegation of 125 people, including CEOs and other industry leaders. Economic and security cooperation is the top agenda and is set to meet Prime Minister Modi tomorrow.
We are very close to making a deal on the Middle East that will bring peace to the Middle East. After all of these years of millions and millions, tens of millions of people being killed.
Donald Trump pledges US support for Gaza security guarantees and says he believes a deal is close to being completed for the remaining hostages as well, as Israel remembered victims of the October 7th attacks 2 years ago.
Putin says deep strikes on Russia in response to Moscow's offensive won't help Ukraine as he meets with top army commanders. Claims Ukraine is targeting civilian areas in retaliation as it retreats across front line.
He is a very strong, very good leader. He's a nice man, but he could be nasty. He could be very nasty. Maybe as nasty as anybody.
Trump says US and Canada have natural conflict on trade as he hosts Prime Minister Mark Carney at the White House, announces plans to discuss lowering tariffs on key sectors, praises Carney as the world-class leader who can be very nasty.
Ecuador's President Daniel Noboa escaped unharmed after his motorcade was attacked by protesters in central Ecuador. Demonstrators angry over rising fuel prices threw stones and allegedly fired gunshots during the incident.
Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi raises concerns over the growing presence of Islamic State and other terror groups, saying they have recently established training and equipping centers in neighboring countries.
French President Macron faces intense pressure to find solution to political deadlock after the resignation of Prime Minister Le Cornu. Even allies urged swift action, with the former Prime Minister calling for Macron's resignation.
Spanish emergency services find 2 bodies buried in rubble after a building under construction collapses in central Madrid, with 2 more people still missing and several workers injured.
Gold surged to record highs near $4,000 an ounce as massive inflows into gold ETFs fueled the rally. Analysts say investors are fleeing pricey stocks for the safety of bullion, with global ETF inflows hitting an unprecedented $64 billion this year.
Four-time champions England suffer a mighty scare against Bangladesh at the ICC Women's ODI World Cup in Guwahati. Heather Knight's unbeaten 79 helped the English side chase down 179 after slipping to 103 for 6 at one point. And Israel marked the second anniversary of the deadly Hamas-led attacks of October 7th in 2023.
Well, ceremonies were held across the country, including a memorial in Tel Aviv. Now, the ceremony was organized by victims' families as an important reminder of what happened and what was filled with emotion. Bereaved family members held photos of hostages, both living and deceased, and among them was a banner bearing the face of Inbar Hemant, the last known female hostage whose body has not been returned.
I think the world have some forgot what Israel and what I've been through on the 7th of October, and I think in this ceremony we echoing what happened to us on that day and what cruelty looks like.
In southern Israel, the Nova Music Festival Memorial also drew crowds. This was the first point of the attack by Hamas. Remember, it was here that over 370 young people, they were gunned down by Hamas. A candle vigil was also held in Zingoff Square. More than 250 hostages were taken to Gaza when Hamas militants overwhelmed border defenses with a surprise assault. Over 1,200 people, most of them civilians, were also killed, triggering a military retaliation from Israeli government. And that has, of course, killed over 67,000 people in Palestine, in Gaza, of course.
Now, according to the health authorities, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, however, has vowed to press on to achieve all the war's objectives in Gaza, including securing the release of all the hostages, eliminating the rule of Hamas, and the preventing of future threats from Gaza.
Heb je het gehoord? Heb je het gezien?
The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for release of all hostages and said that the ceasefire proposal must be seized to bring the conflict to an end. Around the world, vigils and protests marked the 2-year anniversary. In The Hague, an interfaith gathering outside the Peace Palace called for unity and peace.
Now, in Buenos Aires, members of Argentina's Jewish community wore a yellow ribbon, held up photos of the captives, and lit their phone flashlights in a symbolic vigil.
In New York, pro-Palestinian supporters protested outside the News Corp headquarters to demand an end to Israel's offensive in Gaza.
Then in Santiago, demonstrators called on their government to sever diplomatic ties with Israel and increase international pressure to end the war. And US President Donald Trump has once again voiced optimism that there is a real chance to end the war in Gaza.
Well, indirect negotiations between Israel and Hamas negotiators, they are being held in the Egyptian resort town of Sharm el-Sheikh based on a 20-point peace plan proposed by Trump to end the war. Trump told reporters at the Oval Office that the US would do everything possible to make sure everyone adheres to the deal if Hamas and Israel do agree on a ceasefire.
I think there's a possibility that we could have peace in the Middle East. It's something even beyond the Gaza situation. We want a release of the hostages immediately, etc. And so our team is over there now. Another team just left, and other countries, literally every country in the world has supported the plan.
Yep.
Now, during indirect talks with Israel, Hamas's top negotiator Khalil al-Hayya said that his group wants guarantees from Trump and the sponsor countries that the war will end once and for all. He said that Hamas does not trust the occupation, not even for a second, referring to Israel, of course.
Meanwhile, Egyptian state-linked media Al Qaeda News reported that talks have begun on the lists of Palestinian prisoners to be freed by Israel in exchange for the hostages under a potential ceasefire deal.
Marwan Barghouti, a leading member of the Palestinian Fatah party who is imprisoned since 2002, is among several high-profile detainees whose release is being sought by Hamas. Now, other names mentioned include Ahmad Sadat, Hassan Salameh and Abbas al-Sayed.
Meanwhile, Qatar's foreign ministry said that Prime Minister Abdul Rahman Al Thani will also be attending these ongoing peace talks on Wednesday. In a post on social media, the ministry said that Al Thani's participation in this meeting, it comes at a critical stage of the talks, reaffirming the determination of the mediators to reach an agreement that would bring an end to the war in the Gaza Strip. All right, to discuss this further, we're now being joined live by Edward P. Joseph. He's joining us from Washington, D.C. He's a lecturer at the Johns Hopkins University and a foreign policy analyst. Edward, thanks so much for joining us here, Mr. Joseph. And, as far as the peace deal is concerned, we've seen, do you find there's more intent and ambition and perhaps enthusiasm this time to finally reach that deal? Or is this just another one of those that have fallen apart in the past? How close are we to a real deal?
Well, first, of course, we have to acknowledge this very somber second anniversary of the October 7th horrific attacks launched by Hamas that, of course, launched this terrible war, which has seen so many Palestinians killed after the slaughter perpetrated by Hamas on Israelis, on innocent Israelis, and ironically, many Israelis who had worked very hard for peace. Many of those who lived in these kibbutzim that were near the, very close to Gaza, were among those who had worked hard for peace and wanted very much for there to be harmonious relations with Palestinians. So first we have to mark this very somber anniversary. And I would say, yes, we do have reason to be cautiously optimistic about the breakthrough and about this 20-point plan that is been proposed by President Trump, not just because of the plan itself and the support, the fact that there are details that it contains these thoughtful positions, but the widespread support, as your report indicated. UN Secretary General Guterres is among those who've supported this. So we see in many countries, of course, Trump exaggerated saying every country in the world, but what's true is that many countries have, including countries in the Middle East, critically, that have communication with Hamas, have supported this and have told Hamas, look, you need to take this deal and end the war. So, and of course, Israel has accepted. Prime Minister Netanyahu has embraced the Trump proposal. So that's, I would say, yes, this is serious, and we should hope that this terrible war will come to an end soon. Please.
Of course, Mr. Joseph, and that's an important point, but then again, optimism is a driver and also a delusion in these conflicts, which brings us to what Hamas is itself demanding. Hamas has now linked the release of Israeli hostages to the withdrawal of Israeli occupation and is seeking guarantees from Trump and other mediators. Now, having said that, how might these contingencies actually affect the progress of the Gaza war?
Well, first, of course, you're absolutely right to say that we should not be too optimistic, and I used the adjective cautious there. Caution must be we must be cautious when it comes to this, but we can be encouraged. The fact that there is momentum and there's widespread support for the peace plan, and the point that you make about Hamas's position, this is what's critical to know. is there doesn't seem to be a clear and coherent Hamas position. So you cite a position there that they're conditioning release on hostages. There are other reports that have said that they're willing to release the hostages, but they're not willing to give up their weapons. So we have, and there are other reports that there are divisions within the group, that the divisions within Hamas, leadership that is inside Gaza, leadership that is outside of Gaza, that is more inclined to take the deal. So we don't know. We can't be too specific.
Understood.
What we can be concerned about is the fact that after so many deaths of so many Palestinians, let alone the Israelis killed on October 7th, that we see Hamas celebrating October 7th and calling it a glorious crossing here 2 years later, after so many Palestinians have been killed.
I hear your point.
To celebrate is really something unconscionable. Please.
I hear your point, Mr. Joseph. Very quickly, I just wanted to also get your thoughts on this. The guarantees that Hamas is expecting from the US and the sponsor countries, what kind of guarantees can anybody offer to Hamas at this point? And if they don't offer these guarantees, does it throw this deal off track?
I think they can offer guarantees, absolutely. And we have to remember that there have been, the ceasefires that have been called so far have been successful. So you had a ceasefire at the end of 2023 that President Biden negotiated, and Hamas broke that ceasefire. Then you had the ceasefire earlier this year that it was proposed by President Biden, but it was really President Trump's intervention that got Prime Minister Netanyahu to accept it, and it lasted 2 months, 2 full months. And then Israel did not continue that ceasefire. So each side has, I would say, each side has a basis to
So we can remain cautiously optimistic. I'll go back to the adjective you used earlier. I guess that's where we need to be at this point. But there seems to be more intent to get it, because there is a lot of cohesion when it comes to the West Asian countries putting pressure on Hamas as well at this point. But let's hope the cautious optimism can be without the caution soon enough. Thanks so much. Yes, thanks so much. That was Edward P. Joseph joining us from Washington, D.C. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, and moving on, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer kickstarted his two-day visit to India, leading a delegation of 125 people, including CEOs and representatives from UK institutes, universities and industry groups, in an effort to promote a recently signed trade deal. And this marks the first official visit to India and comes just months after India and the UK signed a trade deal.
Well, of course, that trade deal was signed during Prime Minister Modi's visit to the European nation in July. Now, the iconic BMC headquarters is illuminated with the Indian and UK national flags to welcome Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Starmer. The dazzling display symbolizes the enduring friendship and partnership between the two nations as of now.
Of course, and welcoming passengers from cockpit en route Mumbai, says he's off for the biggest trade mission to India UK has ever sent.
This is the Prime Minister. I'm in the cockpit, and a very warm welcome to BA Flight 9100 to Mumbai.
Even as the UK Prime Minister looks to strengthen economic relations following the recently signed trade pact, Starmer made it clear that the United Kingdom will not pursue any visa-related deal with New Delhi. Starmer said that visas had blocked up previous efforts to seal a trade deal, and that having reached an agreement which had no visa implications, he didn't wish to revisit that issue when he meets Indian Prime Minister Modi for the talks on Thursday. All right, so that's the UK Prime Minister who has arrived in India. He has landed in Mumbai. To have him greeted by Eknath Shinde and, of course, the Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis earlier on the screens. He has arrived with a delegation of 125 people, and that includes CEOs and several other delegates and, of course, businessmen from the UK. He's here for talks on trade. There's lots more to be expected. Visa talks have been put aside. That's something that they made clear before even reaching here. 8th to 10th of October is when that's the 2-day visit. That's the duration of it. And to discuss this further with us, our Assistant Editor of Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibal, is joining us live on the phone line. Siddhant, give us more on what to expect.
Well, the UK Prime Minister will be on a 2-day India visit. He has reached Mumbai. He will be in Mumbai only. He is not coming to Delhi. And he will be holding talks with the Indian Prime Minister in Mumbai tomorrow. Later today, he will be going to various locations, including Yash Raj Studios as well. So his visit comes just months after India and UK signed the free trade agreement. And why they chose Mumbai was essentially that aspect only, because they wanted to talk about and send a symbolic message of the increased trade partnership between UK and India, world's one of the top economies, both UK and India, but focus on other issues as well. And they will be talking about, at least the Indian side will be raising issues of concerns that includes the issue of Khalistani extremists. In fact, we know just a few days ago we saw vandalization of the Mahatma Gandhi statue in London, and also the financial fugitives who have been making UK their home as well. So several issues will be on the table, and the key talks will be happening tomorrow, as both Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer will be holding talks and also attend a key finance tech summit in the Indian financial capital, Mumbai.
Right, thanks Siddhant for getting us all those details. That was our Assistant Editor of Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibal, joining us on the phone line.
All right, let's bring you updates from the US. It looks like US President Donald Trump is yet to let go of that dream of his of making Canada the 51st state of the country.
Well, at a recent meeting in the White House, President Trump seemingly exchanged some quirky remarks with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney.
Now, during the meeting, Canadian Prime Minister Carney started off by saying that this is, in many respects, the most important. However, that's where he got cut off. Trump quickly intervened with a witty remark in Trump style, calling for the merger of US and Canada. Listen to this.
And I'm running out of time, but this is, in many respects, the most important.
The merger of Canada and the United States.
That wasn't where I was going.
However, the pun did not stop there. The US President hailed Canada's Prime Minister as a world-class and a strong leader, but added that he could be very nasty and as nasty as anybody. Trump also said that US and Canada have natural conflict on trade.
No, he is a very strong, very good leader. He's a nice man, but he could be nasty. He could be very nasty, maybe as nasty as anybody.
While announcing plans to lower tariffs on Canada's key sectors, the US President was asked why he was holding back trade talks with Ottawa if he believes that Carney was great. And to that, Trump responded, listen to this.
So then what's holding things up? If he's a great man and you want to do a deal with Canada, why aren't you?
Because I want to be a great man too. Thank you very much. Thank you. That could have been. I think you got that. That could have been good. Thank you very much.
Well, Trump's meeting with Carney comes amidst the global tariff tirade launched by the former, which has fractured and crippled major economic powerhouses across the world. In other news, Ecuador President Daniel Noboa's motorcade was surrounded by a group of around 500 people throwing rocks as he approached an event.
The attack came amid days of increasingly violent demonstrations sparked by a government decision to raise diesel prices. Now, the video released by the government, reportedly filmed from inside the motorcade, shows protesters standing on the road, draped in flags, scrambling to collect large stones and bricks. And this is as the presidential SUV passed. Projectiles thudded into the paneling and shattered windows. Environment and Energy Minister Manzino said that signs of bullet damage, they were also found on the president's vehicle.
Aparecieron 500 personas There is nothing peaceful about this. Shooting at the president's car, throwing stones, damaging state property. These are simply criminal acts.
Now, 5 have been detained. Noboa's office said that they would be processed under charges of terrorism and attempted assassination. The recently re-elected president is trying to cut diesel subsidies to save about $1 billion in government spending, diverting much of the savings to security funding.
Now, protesters have gone on strike, blocked roads and abducted 16 soldiers who were eventually released unharmed. Ecuador's largest indigenous organization reported that a protester had been killed by armed forces during one of the rallies on Sunday. Also, between protesters and security services, more than 100 people are believed to have been injured in the unrest. A state of emergency has been declared across several provinces. The government has accused cartels who are vying for control of the cocaine trading routes of being behind the unrest.
And with that, it's time for a short break on World DNA.
Don't go anywhere, of course, lots more on the other side. Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi has raised concerns over the growing regional presence of the Islamic State and other terror groups. We'll bring you the full report on the other side of the break.
Also on the other side, OpenAI has banned several ChatGPT accounts with suspected links to China after users asked the AI chatbot for ways to monitor social media conversations. All this and more coming up on the other side of World DNA. Stay tuned, you're watching Beyond World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Welcome back, viewers. This is World DNA with Deeksha. I'm Shivan. Lots more to discuss. Let's start with the headlines.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer arrives in Mumbai for a two-day visit with a delegation of 125 people, including CEOs and other industry leaders. Economic and security cooperation is the top agenda. Set to meet Prime Minister Modi tomorrow.
We are very close to making a deal on the Middle East that will bring peace to the Middle East. After all of these years of millions and millions, tens of millions of people being killed.
Donald Trump pledges US support for Gaza security guarantees and says he believes a deal is close to being completed for the remaining hostages as Israel remembered victims of October 7th attacks 2 years ago.
Putin says steep strikes on Russia in response to Moscow's offensive won't help Ukraine as he meets with top army commanders. Claims Ukraine is targeting civilian areas in retaliation as it retreats across front line.
He is a very strong, very good leader. He's a nice man, but he could be nasty. He could be very nasty, maybe as nasty as anybody.
Trump says US and Canada have natural conflict on trade as he hosts Prime Minister Mark Carney at the White House, announces plans to discuss lowering tariffs on key sectors. Praises Carney as a world-class leader who can also be very nasty.
Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa's car attacked by a crowd of 500 people throwing stones in Quinap province, with signs of bullet damage found on the vehicle. Noboa escapes unharmed. 5 people have been detained.
Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi raises concerns over the growing presence of Islamic State and other terror groups, saying they have recently established training and equipping centers in neighboring countries.
French President Macron faces intense pressure to find solution to political deadlock after the resignation of Prime Minister Lecornu. Even allies urge swift action, with the former Prime Minister calling for Macron's resignation.
Spanish emergency services find 2 bodies buried in rubble after a building under construction collapses in central Madrid, with 2 more people still missing and several workers injured.
Starting next week, the US will impose new port fees on Chinese-built ships, costing carriers $3.2 billion in 2026. The fees aims to boost US shipbuilding and challenges China's maritime influence. Beijing has warned of possible retaliation.
Novak Djokovic overcomes injury issues and sweltering heat for the second straight time in Shanghai to reach the quarterfinals. The four-time champions beat Jaume Munar in a contest that lasted almost 3 hours.
Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi has raised concerns over the growing regional presence of Islamic State and other terror groups.
He said that they have recently established training and equipping centers in other countries in the region. Speaking at the Moscow format on Afghanistan, an international dialogue platform focused on the Afghan peace process and regional security, which includes representatives from Russia, China, India, Iran, Pakistan and Central Asian states, Muttaqi warned that these developments pose a significant threat to regional stability. While he did not name specific countries, his remarks suggest growing concerns in Kabul over the transnational terrorism networks operating beyond Afghanistan's borders.
Well, Afghan Foreign Minister is set to visit India this week. The Taliban-led government has consistently claimed that it is committed to preventing Afghan soil from being used as a base for international terrorism. Now, the warning from the Afghan minister follows an intelligence dossier indicating that terror groups Islamic State, Khorasan province and Lashkar-e-Toiba are collaborating.
A recently surfaced photograph reveals ISKP's Balochistan coordinator Mir Shafiq Mengal gifting a pistol to Lashkar-e-Toiba LET commander Rana Muhammad Ashfaq, a clear indication of operational collaboration between the two groups. Mengal was and has been playing a key role in facilitating ISKP's activities, including managing safe houses, distributing funds and supplying weapons, while Ashfaq has been overseeing the development of new terror hubs and coordinating with other extremist factions.
Now, new developments are a concern for India. A recent issue of ISKP's propaganda magazine, Yalgar, shows a disturbing shift and intent to expand attacks into Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Intelligence report reveals that ISKP is being subtly repurposed by Pakistan's military establishment to target Baloch separatists and uncooperative Taliban factions within Afghanistan. At the same time, there are renewed attempts to destabilize Jammu and Kashmir. Now, these developments come in a year that witnessed the Pahalgam terror attack carried by Pakistan-trained terrorists, underscoring growing concerns over Islamabad's evolving proxy strategies in the region.
The report further highlights that the emerging coalition of extremist entities not only escalates the threat to Afghanistan, but also signals Pakistan's military establishment's intent to reignite militancy in Jammu and Kashmir. The Indian Coast Guard is known as the Sentinels of the Sea and across a vast area spanning 4.6 million square kilometers.
Now, India provides maritime search and rescue support, from firefighting at sea to warning fishermen during adverse weather and undertaking daring search and rescue operations. The Indian Coast Guard does it all. In India's southern state of Chennai, the Coast Guard demonstrated a crucial capability combating pollution at sea, urging a wide range of ships and aircraft.
In the event of a maritime disaster, oil spills pose a major threat. The Indian Coast Guard held National Pollution Response Exercise, which is aimed at testing India's ability to combat marine oil spills and related accidents. ICG demonstrated how planes, ships, helicopters, they can be deployed for various roles, from surveillance to saving lives to even pollution response.
In addition to the conventional aircraft, the Indian Coast Guard also showcased their miniature drone and its ability to support search and rescue. WION's principal correspondent Siddhant MP sent us this report from Chennai, telling us more about the Indian Coast Guard's National Pollution Response Drill in the city. Take a look.
When there's a person in distress at sea, we usually expect helicopters or ships to provide assistance. But in this case, the Indian Coast Guard is demonstrating a very interesting and a very low-cost solution. There is a drone that is being deployed from an Indian Coast Guard ship. And as you can see in the distance, that drone is carrying a life vest. And that drone can be maneuvered in such a way, even with the gusty winds, it can be maneuvered amid this kind of conditions to the place where there is someone in distress. And the life vest can be dropped precisely at the location where the person is in distress. So this is a very low cost and a very unique technology that the Indian Coast Guard is demonstrating in Chennai as part of the National Pollution Response Exercise which is being undertaken. From Chennai, Siddharth MP, WION, World is One.
And there's a new twist to the gold plating controversy at the Sabrimala temple in Kerala.
As investigators probe allegations of missing gold from Ayyappan shrine, court documents now reveal that the temple's sponsor had once sought permission to use leftover temple gold to help conduct a wedding. It emerges that the temple's main sponsor, Unni Krishnan, had written to the Travancore Devaswam board in December 2019, seeking approval to use leftover gold from the plating works.
Well, the letter, which is dated December 9th, 2019, refers to gold balance left after completing gold work on the sanctum's main door and idols. Now, he had undertaken the gold plating work on his own expense under the Devaswam board's consent. Now, a total of 42.8 kilograms of temple gold was handed over to his firm in Chennai. But when the gold-covered copper plates returned, their weight had dropped by more than 4 kilograms.
The Kerala High Court has pulled up the Travancore Devaswam board for bypassing rules and not informing the court. Appointed Sabrimala Commissioner, it called the incident alarming, saying conduct of officials betrayed the trust of devotees. The High Court has now ordered a special investigation team to probe how so much temple gold could simply vanish. For millions of Ayyappa devotees, this is more than just a gold count. It's about faith, transparency, and ensuring that what's offered at the sanctum stays sacred. And China's economy is showing signs of resilience even as property and export challenges weigh on growth.
Now, retirees, Gen Z and women are helping cushion the economy against a potential slowdown. This next report delves into these emerging growth drivers and what they mean for China's domestic market. Take a look.
China's economy is finding fresh momentum in 3 surprising sectors: elderly care, green consumption, and women-led spending. Even as property and exports drag on growth, domestic demand remains a key focus for Beijing. In the first 8 months of 2025, retail sales rose 4.6% year-on-year, showing signs of resilience. Analysts say a recovery could take shape as retirees, Gen Z shoppers, and wage earners increase discretionary spending, sectors that together may offer a cushion against deflation risks. China's aging population, now 300 million people aged 60 and above, is driving a booming silver hair economy worth 7 trillion yuan in 2025. Xinhua projects this figure could surge to nearly 50 trillion yuan by 2050. Demand for elderly-focused products from nutrition and healthcare to robotics is surging. The elderly care robot market alone is expected to double by 2029, growing 15% annually. Meanwhile, sustainability and food safety are reshaping consumer choices. Packaging firm SIG sold over 250 million aluminium-free aseptic packs in China in 2024, a reflection of rising environmental awareness and innovation-led growth. China's she economy is also gaining momentum. With 400 million women aged 20 to 60, female consumers now spend an estimated 10 trillion yuan each year. Perfume sales are surging, with the mainland market projected to reach 33.9 billion yuan by 2028, growing 8% annually. At the same time, the young consumers focused on wellness and self-care are shaping new consumption patterns. In Shanghai, the government is turning to cultural events to revive spending and boost confidence, as lifestyle and leisure are becoming key pillars of China's domestic growth story. This is Bureau Report. WION World is One.
And OpenAI has banned several ChatGPT accounts with suspected links to China.
This is after users asked the AI chatbot for ways to monitor social media conversations. In its latest public threat report titled Disrupting Malicious Uses of AI and Update, OpenAI said that the banned users asked its AI chatbot to outline social media listening tools and other monitoring concepts which violated the company's national security policy. The company warned that this raises safety concerns over potential misuse of generative AI, particularly amid growing competition between the US and China to shape how the technology is developed and regulated.
Now, according to the report, OpenAI also removed several Chinese language accounts that use ChatGPT to assist phishing and malware campaigns. Users had asked the chatbot to research automation possibilities through China's DeepSeek platform. Similarly, OpenAI banned accounts linked to suspected Russian-speaking criminal groups that use ChatGPT to develop malware. OpenAI said that it has now disrupted more than 40 threat networks since it started public threat reporting last February.
The company added that its models refused to respond to overtly malicious prompts. It said that we found no evidence of new tactics or that our models provided threat actors with novel offensive capabilities. Now, the firm currently serves more than 800 million weekly ChatGPT users worldwide. Recently, OpenAI became the world's most valuable startup with a $500 billion valuation after a secondary share sale last week. And in sports, shifting focus to the ongoing ICC Women's ODI World Cup, four-time champions England suffered a mighty scare against Bangladesh in Guwahati.
Well, Heather Knight's unbeaten 79 helped the English side chase down 179 after slipping to 103 for 6 at one point. Now put into bat first, Bangladesh struggled to score from the offset. Apart from openers Sharmin Akhtar, Shobana Mostari and Rabia Khan, none of the other batters contributed much. Mostari's 60 of 108 balls and Khan's late cameo of 43 for 27 helped Bangladesh put up 178 on the board. England spinners shared 9 wickets between them, with Sophie Ecclestone leading the charts with figures of 3 for 24.
What should have been a cakewalk for Nat Sivabrant's side almost turned into an embarrassment. Just like Bangladesh, they struggled on a tricky spinning pitch. England lost their first wicket in the first over for just 6 runs. And by the end of the 22nd over, they were 83 for 5. As wickets kept tumbling, all eyes were on Heather Knight, who came in at number 3 and held the innings together as England crawled towards the target. She has a lot to thank the DRS system, which handed her reprieve not once but thrice. The 34-year-old, who was sacked as captain after a disastrous Ashes tour earlier this year, did not let those lifelines go to waste. She found a reliable partner in Charlie Dean, who remained unbeaten on 27. Their unbroken 79-run stand took England home by 4 wickets with 23 balls to spare. The victory propelled England to the top spot on the World Cup points table.
And former India captain MS Dhoni has added another feather to his cap.
The 44-year-old has now become a certified drone pilot. Dhoni completed his training at a DGCA-approved remote pilot training organization in Chennai, owned by a company where he is an investor and the brand ambassador as well. He took to social media to announce this latest achievement.
Now, from playing his famous helicopter shot to now flying a drone, Dhoni has once again shown his excellence both on and off the pitch. Just like in cricket, he underwent a rigorous training program with theoretical sessions and intensive practical classes. In practicals, Captain Cool had flying sessions on simulators and real drones. And only after all this did he earn his certificate in safe drone operations.
Apart from his recent milestone, Captain Cool was also conferred the honorary rank of Lieutenant Colonel in the Indian Territorial Army back in 2011. In 2019, he completed a 15-day attachment with his battalion in Jammu and Kashmir, serving with the Victor Force on patrols and guard duties. He later became a trained paratrooper after completing 5 parachute jumps from a C-130J Super Hercules aircraft. As Greta Lee and Jodie Turner-Smith, they flaunted head-turning looks. The premiere of Tron Ares was a sight to behold for fashion lovers. More in this next report. Take a look.
there was a version of a script that was floating around like 10 years ago. And I read it, and they asked me to be in it to play this part called Ares. And it wasn't the right thing for me at the time, but I said to them, if you ever want to make a film about this character, let me know, I'd be interested. So like a year later, they came to me and they said, what do you think about developing this? I was like, absolutely, I love Tron.
Now let's take a look at what is new in the world of entertainment.
Santosh is set for its Indian digital premiere on the 17th of October. Starring Shahana Goswami and directed by Sandhya Suri, the movie's release was earlier delayed due to disagreements with the Central Board of Film Certification over requested edits that filmmakers said compromised the story's integrity. The plot of the film follows a widow who takes her late husband's job as a police officer and begins uncovering dark truths about him and the system she serves. The movie explores themes of caste, gender and power dynamics. Santosh was also chosen as the United Kingdom's official entry for the Best International Feature Film category at the 97th Academy Awards.
जैसी औरतों के लिए सरकार की एक स्कीम है जिसे आश्रित कोटा कहते हैं मतलब कि पुलिस वाले
The Tribeca Festival has announced a major boost to its Untold Stories program prize. The festival has increased the top production award from $1 million to $1.2 million for its 25th anniversary edition in 2026. Launched in 2017, the program offers full funding, mentorship and a guaranteed Tribeca premiere to one emerging filmmaker each year. Now it remains the largest unrestricted film production grant of its kind in the world.
The much-awaited Game of Thrones spin-off, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, is officially set to premiere in January 2026. The new poster, bearing the tagline, "A Tale That Became a Legend," teases the show's tone and medieval flair. The series takes place 100 years before Game of Thrones and a century after House of the Dragon, bridging the two epic timelines in the lore. All right, viewers, that's a wrap on this edition of World DNA, but there's more before we wrap up.
Let's take a look at all the climate stories making headlines across the world. Stay tuned. You're watching Beyond World is One.
India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing